the light
Hey guys,
stuff.
Savage Joy here tonight with Mr. Peter Douche / Pat the Berner. So this is totally impromptu because I know I literally just got off the air like a half an hour ago. But there's shit we gotta talk about because I am just frustrated with all the donut Twitter neo-lib crazy people. So Pat, you watched a few minutes of Kamala's State of the Union. Were you moved? Do you feel like you want to vote for her now?
I feel like I want to give up everything I've stood for my whole life and now vote for a cop.
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly convinced.
That's the reaction she wanted you to have, so that's good.
Yeah, I actually went and tried to watch the whole thing, but I could only get through like a minute at a time, and I would skip ahead another 5 minutes, and milk toast, boring, safe. And there was one point where she was actually talking about kids mass incarcerated, and that's when I had to leave, because the hypocrisy of her bringing up criminal justice reform when she was in a position to do something about it and jailed more black people than anyone is just absurd.
But you ever notice that the people who get so pissed off and
is that me?
It's not me.
Oh, it was me. I killed it. That was the State of the Union. Right.
Do you ever notice that the people who get like the most indignant when you when you point stuff like that out are white middle-aged women?
Yeah. In fact, yesterday I had a lot of I tweeted a few times about that exact issue, because you've got these white women telling black people they should be upset about what Bernie's doing to black people. And, it's not that white people can't have an opinion on it, but the white liberal kind of wine mom classic Democrat shouldn't be lecturing black people that aren't mad about it already, because polling shows that Bernie doesn't really have an issue on average with the black community.
Mm-hmm.
So having them lecture them is just the height of hypocrisy.
It really is, because there are people that saying, well, first of all, the articles yesterday which came out didn't say who, it didn't say the schedule of who was going first, and people assumed it would be at the same time. So first at fault was the neo-lib media, who totally did that on purpose. But then there were the people who ran with it without educating themselves. And it's suddenly like, he's speaking at the same time as a black woman, when it wasn't at the same time. And all they had to do was look at his Twitter, where he said, I'm really looking forward to it. She's,
right,
great, and blah, blah, blah.
The whole thing was just a perfect example of the kind of coordinated hits that are coming, because what happened was an article was put out, and the article ended up changing its language, but the language in the article was that Bernie was going to speak after. And then they had a media pundit come along, word for word, took out a paragraph from that article and changed the after, so it was consciously done. Yep. It wasn't an accident. She changed the word after to during for her tweet. Yep. And then got fake outrage that we were all upset about it, because they created this narrative.
And then I specifically asked, I have almost 2,000 followers on Twitter, and I said, has anyone witnessed a single person who has taken down their post and admitted they were ill-informed? Nobody. I'm like, just give me one person, because at the very least you could be like, you know what? Still fuck Bernie. I don't like him, but it is a different story that it's after her now. At least acknowledge, but there's that one woman, and she's going at Nina, and Nina is fucking destroying her. Are you in that thread?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, it's great.
And that's the beauty of it, is that anytime that either Bernie or AOC or Nina Turner have an opportunity to defend themselves, So if they appear in these spaces where all these attacks are going on, they win the argument hands down. And these people end up crawling back with their tail between their legs, you know, because they don't have a winning argument. It's all gaslighting bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my thread is filled with people of color who are saying, get over it. Nothing he's doing is racist. You know, you have faux outrage. There's so many things to be outraged about. You know what I mean? That you're completely ignoring. So what's that?
The irony of it all is that all these people and pundits that were so upset yesterday at Bernie for having the nerve to outstage the first black person speaking, you know, at the rebuttal to the State of the Union. So they attack him all day for it. And then today we find out Kamala Harris's big plan is to speak before Stacey Abrams. So now they're in this position of defending someone speaks before the person who should be having the stage. Like, that's okay, but speaking after is not okay.
Right. Even though Bernie endorsed Abrams, rallied for Abrams, right, you know, send out links to donate to Abrams, posted a tweet about Abrams last night, how he was looking forward to watching her speech. He is a racist for going on and speaking after her. Even though he's done it for 3 years in a row, it's not even on TV, it's on Facebook. It's this whole bunch of faux outrage. They, like, dude literally cannot even sneeze the wrong way.
Yeah, well, I've already forgotten his name. The racist guy who's going to have to resign with the KKK pictures. And,
right. Northam.
Northam, yeah. So Northam, that's another perfect example of this in action. So Bernie's the only guy who actually campaigned for Northam's opponent, and he got tons of crap for not endorsing Northam. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris, her tweets are still up endorsing Northam. You know, all these establishment folks endorsed him. And so you would think at the least they would sort of, you know, back away from attacking Bernie on this one, because Bernie's the one who freaking endorsed the actual progressive and not the KKK guy. But no, they come out with attacks saying Bernie didn't have a comment on it soon enough.
Yeah.
Why should he be the first one to comment? His comment, if he had came out and said something right away, they'd have said, Bernie's gloating. He's attacking the Democratic Party. He's bragging that he picked the right guy. You know, there's always going to be an angle to attack Bernie.
Always. And that's why I'm like, honestly, I am so salty that I feel like if I were him, I'd be like, you know what? Fuck you, assholes. You don't give a shit that I keep sacrificing my sanity to fight for all of you, and all you do is, like, drive me mad. Like, he's so, you know, just, like, classy for sticking up, you know, first of all, for holding his composure, because I sure as hell couldn't. But yeah, it's amazing the shit he has to go through when he's just trying to give us freaking health care and free college. Like, he's trying to improve our lives, but, you know, what an asshole.
Right. And, you know, I mean, that brings up healthcare and Stacey Abrams, who, come to find out, she's now working at CAP, Center for American Progress. She's been working there since December, and that's been kind of quiet. But hey, she's working at CAP, and now she gets to speak after she gets the State of the Union rebuttal.
Yep. And for, if any of you guys don't know what CAP is, it's run by Neera Tandem. So yeah.
Yeah. And CAP is funded by a lot of anti-people institutions. So PG&E, they're very pro gas and oil. They're, you know, safe fracking promoters. They're funded by a lot of Wall Street. They're funded by a foreign government. The UAE funds a great deal of what they do. And these people like Neera that represent them, well, Neera, of course, worked for Hillary. they get highlighted on shows like Bill Maher almost every week. There's someone from these kind of groups on TV, and they're never introduced as someone that works for the, you know, the oil industry or something or whatever they're there to do. They get introduced as someone at a think tank, and no one really knows what that means.
Right.
So HBO feels like they covered themselves, but they're really introducing lobbyists.
Don't you find it sad that, like, I forget whose quote this is, but there is so much information at our disposal right now. It is a choice to remain ignorant. Like, these people are totally okay with not taking 3 minutes to research something. If they actually looked up Cap, well, I don't want to be presumptuous. Maybe they wouldn't care, because I doubt some people would.
Yeah, I mean, you've got people that just watch MSNBC too much. So we all, you know, you bring up Cap or something, and they just go, da 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 da. This is like Bernie bro conspiracy.
You hate women.
Stuff.
You hate women.
Yeah, you're sexist and racist.
Yeah, and so see, you're so lucky because you have an alternate account where you get to be an actual douche and not really have any ramifications.
True. Well, you know, I didn't have that during the primaries last time. I started after the primaries. So that's kind of how it grew to be an account in the first place. I wanted some way to yell at the establishment more, and, you know, because I also was, you know, I mean, in my own account, Pat the Berner, I mean, I'm an asshole sometimes, because sometimes being an asshole is called for, but we all fell into sort of, you know, seeing Bernie get attacked over all these things. Everyone was so delicate about things that in a lot of ways we weren't as outraged as we could have been, because we didn't want our words to be used against us and against Bernie. And we saw how they were weaponizing every little attack from people. And, you know, they're doing the same thing this time, but we've got his audience. We need to have more outrage. We can't just be very polite and courteous about it. So, you know, I'm lucky I have 2 accounts, because I can do both in a way, you know.
Get you a man who can do both.
Yeah. Well, one day they're going to kick Peter Douche's liaison off, and then I'm going to be douchier Peter Douche, or Peter Douchier or something, and I'm going to be just the bigged asshole they ever met.
Peter Douche's liaison square.
Something. I'm almost looking forward to that day.
No, I know. I was thinking about, should I make an alternate one, because right now there are people who are really huge with like 70,000 followers using my screenshots to bash me. So I'm like, maybe I should. I've only been on Twitter for a freaking month, and already I have like clans after me. I guess I'm doing something right, though, I suppose.
Yeah. If people like you on Twitter, you're not doing it well, because it's such a computational place. I mean, you need enemies.
There's someone messaged me this thing where it's an article from, I believe it was 1988, and Bernie got smacked in the face by a woman from the Democratic Party, who he was there promoting Jesse Jackson. And she went up and she smacked him right across the face. And he said, well, that wasn't very nice. And she said, we don't want outsiders in here. Jesse Jackson is kind of black. So I feel like that was pretty jacked up. And it almost cost him his mayoral race. He only won by 10 votes because he refused to endorse Dukakis and he endorsed Jesse Jackson. And that cost him hardcore. But then I'm salty because what did Jesse Jackson do? That broke my heart. that broke my heart, because not only did he endorse Hillary, he actually asked Bernie to drop out. That's jacked up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, that's really sad and pathetic, and you know, for Bernie to have backed him back then and then not get the nod now, when you know, obviously Jesse was in his corner. There's institutional power put on him, and but the one that really made me sad was John Lewis selling out for Hillary in.
I don't even know who Bernie is.
Yeah, I didn't see him there, and you know, when you think about the contrast between Bernie, you've got the pictures of him actually getting dragged away at a civil rights sit-in. And at that time, Hillary was literally a Goldwater girl promoting the racist Republican. Mm-hmm. And so here's John Lewis coming out acting like Hillary was there and Bernie wasn't. And it was a fraudulent attack, and it was done on purpose because the southern states were about to vote, and it created the narrative that Bernie had a black people problem. Mm-hmm. But it's hard. You got a guy you respect who's done so much for the civil rights movement, and he just flat sells out for Hillary, for power, for institutional support.
Yeah, that definitely sucks. And on Martin Luther King Day, people were like talking about Bernie, like, you know, there's only two of you in government who were at MLK's, you know, MLK Jr.'s speech, and it's John Lewis and Bernard Sanders. And Bernie made a post like, I respect John Lewis so much because of his civil rights fights and blah, 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 blah. And the whole comment section was like, but he doesn't know who you are. Like, so it just brought it all back. Like, damn. And then there's a picture of him and Jane and him together, like right after he said it. People are like, you don't know him? How are you in this picture?
Yeah, that takes me back to the healthcare reform. Where was Bernie when we were fighting for healthcare reform? And then the video comes out.
Standing right behind you.
Was there a more fitting moment from 2016 than that? I mean,
and then he also had the signed 5x8 glossy.
Yeah, the letter thanking him.
Yeah, that was like, thank you for being with me on the right side of history. Yeah, so speaking of healthcare, I don't know if you guys saw, but Nancy Pelosi, who people seem to have a huge boner over lately, even though she's egregious, her top dude just came out. It just leaked that he said that we shouldn't, that the establishment shouldn't fear Medicare for all. It's not going to happen. So what was your take, Pat? Were you surprised?
No. The only thing I'm surprised about is that it's leaking. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you go back to maybe, was it 6 months ago when Klubik, one of the big donors, he's the guy who donates to both parties, like all these millionaires, but he donates to billionaires. And they donate to both parties because they're buying access. They don't care which side wins. They're bribing. It's cut the shit. But so he was on MSNBC, and that's when he had his rant about if the Democrats go more left, and you know, you need to stop using the B word, like saying billionaire, like stop attacking the rich people. So it was around that time when his name was in the press, and some of the things he had said, they leaked then that Pelosi and Schumer had guaranteed the donors that they wouldn't go too far left. So it's just the same thing. I mean, Schumer and Pelosi still haven't themselves endorsed Medicare for all, and they're the leaders of both houses. So to think that the party really backs it is just nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's like, there, you know, other people who are, you know, we saw Kamala walked back Medicare for all within 24 hours. Did you see her say anything about it tonight? No, I mean, she might have. I honestly, I couldn't get through the video. She's too much. It wasn't that riveting? Like, it didn't, like, captivate you? No. But
The funny thing is I kept the comments open, you know, I'd skip ahead and 5 minutes later and it's just fawning over her, but nothing on policy, nothing, you know. I mean, she's had her website up for 2 weeks since she announced her run, and all you can do is go there and buy shirts and shit.
Same with Cory Booker. His has only been like a week, but yeah.
What's their policy? Yeah.
What's that?
What's their policy? What's their platform? They don't know.
Well,
you know, and that's why Kamala got in trouble on her CNN interview, is that, you know, she's parroting Bernie talking points. She knows that the left wants these things, and she's trying to outflank him to the left. But when she said you can't have insurance companies, she got phone calls from the donors, and that was pulled back like nothing. Like, oh, no, take that back right now before all the other candidates say you have to eliminate the insurance companies, because that's how they're going to compromise on Medicare for all.
Yep.
Third way and cap, that's their whole purpose now. That's their top goal right now, is to sell us an alternative that sounds like Medicare for all, something like Medicare Extra, but it does is it enhances the insurance company part of it and doesn't eliminate the cost save. I mean, it doesn't save us money.
Right. Yeah, yeah, they don't want receipts of anything. That's, you know what I mean? Like, we will screenshot the shit out of everything they post and hold them to stuff, and that scares the living shit out of them. The incredible thing is that all these people are still taking corporate money, even though they say they won't. And that's my biggest grievance, because it literally affects everything. It's why we don't have Medicare for all, Green New Deal, things for like this. What do you think? First of all, what the fuck is taking Bernard so long? Because I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah, I think it's killing us, but I think he's just being strategic. I mean, I've heard that one of the risks of waiting this long is that you don't get a lot of just the field people you need. You're not able to capture a lot of the institutional people that run campaigns and do strategy, and so they start getting gobbled up by some of the other campaigns.
That's a good point.
But, you know, if you look, like about a month ago, there was an article about all the people that are prepared to work for Bernie. So
yeah, hell yeah.
I suspect he has all of this locked up, and it's not really an issue. And I mean, if you think about it, people were clamoring for him to be in the race 3 weeks ago, for example. But if he had gotten in 3 weeks ago, then they would have had a day of him. And then we'd be on to Kamala's entrance, and then we'd be on to Booker's entrance, and then, you know, so strategically, it might make sense to wait as long as he can.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't get in the race last time until the summer.
Right. Well, and the other thing I was thinking of is that like Warren announced, she was the first. Oh my God, Elizabeth Warren. Oh my God, first woman president. And people go batshit crazy for like a week. Then someone else announces, and oh my God, they're the greatest thing. You know, Kamala was polling at like 12%, and she announced, and all of a sudden she's at the top. Oh my God, Kamala. So it seems like whoever announces is the biggest thing at the moment, except Cory Booker. I really don't think anyone gives a flying fuck about Cory because he's so boring. And did you hear about T-Bone?
Yeah, I mean, did you see his announcement speech at all?
When he said he grew up in the streets? Was it that one?
He didn't bring up T-Bone, he has this fictional drug dealer friend that he likes to tell stories about called T-Bone. But I mean, the guy, he's running as a unity candidate. Like, he literally is saying things. He said, "I love Trump" in his campaign launch. I mean, that's not what the country wants. The country wants someone to fight him, take him on. You know, it's just a failed. I mean, policy-wise aside, I mean, if you look at policy, he's backed by Betsy DeVos. She pretty much launched his whole career, and that's all about privatizing schools and charter schools. And then he's taking more money from Wall Street than any other candidate.
Voted down Bernie's prescription bill.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the wrong guy.
Yeah.
So I don't. Nobody's worried about Corey. Nobody's worried about Corey. No one's worried about Biden. It's just, can they make Kamala Harris a thing or not? And so far, they haven't been able to.
See, I don't know, because the identity politics game is strong still. That's one of the reasons we have Trump, is because I like Bernie, but I want a woman. And you better vote for her because she's a woman. And she deserves her turn because she's a woman. And all this woman shit, despite the fact that she's garbage, it didn't matter because she's a woman. So that's my fear with this. It's like we're seeing this same shit.
Well, we are, and she's going to have huge rallies where it's going to be her and some celebrity, Beyonce or something. It's going to be the Hillary playbook. You're going to have, you know, they're going to present it like she has a huge audience and it's people there to see a concert for free.
It'll be, we should go to the rallies and stand back with cameras like they started doing at Hillary's, because they would film up front so it looked like it was packed, but really you take a shot all the way out and there's like 20 people like this.
Yeah. It was pretty sad.
It's so, oh my God.
But the thing is, so Kamala has a record and we're not in 2016. You know, it's, everybody has been looking at people's records critically and scrutinizing them and posting them and sharing them on social media for 5 years. And it's just not the same. You know, you can't force someone like that through anymore. And the idea that, like, she doesn't really have a lot of black support in California. I mean, she's done a lot of bad things that didn't help the black community in California. And if you lose the black support in California and you lose it publicly, and if you lose the leadership black support, you're really fucked. And she might end up there because she's very unpopular.
Yeah.
And if you lose California, so we vote Super Tuesday this time. This is the first time in a long time we matter here. So their idea about undermining Bernie's campaign and downplaying his support, well, when he wins California, you can't spin that shit anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When is your aren't you guys going in June?
March. We're second. Super Tuesday.
Oh, March. That's right.
Yeah. So Iowa and I forget the other couple states, they vote a few weeks before, and then it's Super Tuesday with the shitload of. Yeah, but California being part of that is, I mean, we have a ton of delegates, so.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Sorry, I'm looking at the comments. My thing is, like, when you are like middle class white women and you see so many people of color absolutely disgusted with Kamala and hashtagging never Kamala, why do you then defend her? I guess that's what I don't understand, because everyone's going to have critics, but there is literally an entire movement of, you know, people of color who are saying, no, we do not want you. We will never vote for you.
I think it's just the messaging that's been sold. And, you know, especially in California, people think we're like the liberal bastion of the world somehow. But we're also, the general populace is kind of asleep. Like, we kind of take it for granted that we're all Democrats and that Democrats are going to win everything here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, to the rich, out of touch, you know, elite people, you know, they don't want to be racist. I mean, they think they're doing a good thing, and they are doing a good thing to not be racist, but they don't dig into policy anymore. They're more prone to buying those kind of things, and they just, the older you get, the more likely you are that you're getting all your news from MSNBC. And so, you know, they're a walking infomercial for her all year. They will be until until the election.
Yeah, they don't need to advertise. I mean, if you're, so many people are focused on identity politics, you don't need commercials or anything. It's just like, I'm a woman, vote for me, period. I'm not Trump. And that's it.
But they do need to prop her up, and it's not really working. So when you look at the polling that's actually out that puts her ahead, the only one that has her ahead is Daily Kos, which was run by Marcos Mucusuli Santos. I don't know what the hell his last name really is, but in 2015 and 16, he literally kicked off anyone supporting Bernie from his site. And it's just a freaking blog. Right? But so he took this blog post and eliminated all the Bernie Sanders supporters. And of course they haven't gone back. If you supported Bernie then, you didn't go back to his blog and say, you know, I'll join back up now. Yeah. So and so for people that don't know, he literally put a post out saying, from this day forward, you know, I declare that people that say anti-Hillary things or pro-Bernie things are kicked off my site. And then he followed through. So they run a poll, and of course the poll is not going to favor Bernie. And that's the poll cited on MSNBC and CNN all the time, this Daily Kos poll. So it's not the real numbers. I mean, when you have a real poll of progressives, Bernie crushes it. It's just, it's nonsense, fabricated.
That's something that, and that's a fascist thing to do, be like, you can only be on this page if, but no sneeze, false alarm. Yeah, guys, I digress, but I just don't know that that's going to happen. People keep saying AOC is going to endorse Bernie, and I'm not going to guarantee that because I really don't know if that'll happen. I'm going to keep it real. I wouldn't bank on that.
I think she will. I think it'd be suicide for her not to. But she might pull the wait a while to kind of thing. But
yeah, I mean, she definitely won't at first. Yeah, definitely not. But I just don't know. I have severe reservations with her. I always have. But my concern is that the longer he waits to announce, personally, the more worried I get that he's like double thinking it, second questioning it.
I don't think that at all. I mean, he's in. I don't speak for anyone in the campaign, but I do speak to some people, and he's in. It's just a matter of when. I mean, if he could hand the movement off to someone younger and of color or something like that now, he would. But he reads things accurately. And accurately reading the situation, no other progressive can win except for him this time. Yeah. I mean, there's a shot you could create enough enthusiasm with his support by somebody to have a shot. But it's not the same as him. It's a whole different world. So he needs to win and then hand off the movement to the up and coming people. But it's got to be him. So, and he knows that.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, let's keep it real. It's our last chance. I mean, he's 77 and he's already getting all the ages attacking him. So
we're not going to be doing Bernie 2024. That's not going to fly.
No. But it's funny when people are like, he's going to be like 90 by the time his second term ends. And I'm like, well, first of all, learn how to add. But second of all, thank you for acknowledging he would win a second term. People are just, okay, and here's the funny thing. Bern's brother Larry Sanders is 83 and still serves in the UK government in the Green Party. So I think they have pretty good genes. But yeah, I mean, I saw this post the one day, and it was a guy who was saying, you know, I'd rather Bernie be president for like a week and have his VP than anyone else. You know, like he's like, if he dies in office, at least we get his VP. Like, and honestly, as sad as that makes me, I'm like, yeah, like, I'd still rather his VP than anyone else.
and I've thought about that too. You know, I hate to say it, but I mean, you know, he has to pick a VP that's legitimately progressive for that very reason, and just to protect himself. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy, but you know, you better have a progressive backup, because if your backup is a shit centrist because you compromised and you thought you needed to win some states, you know, things happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I feel I'm not, you know, I have no problem criticizing Bernie, so I'm going to be 100% honest. I do fear that he'll pick someone like Warren or something, and then I'm going to be extremely upset. But
I think Warren is as centrist as he would go. I mean, I think that's his limit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but like, she just sucks so bad. And I mean, ideally, I want burn and turn, but I just don't know that would happen. But honestly, with all the drama surrounding Tulsi, whether, you know, it's all deserved or not, which of course it's not, she certainly has issues, but a lot of it is just complete and utter bullshit. I don't know that she's the right pick for his VP anymore. I think it could really, really hurt him.
And I used to think for sure that she was the top one too. I thought, I mean, with her military experience and being a woman as well, just to balance it out, a young woman of color, she seems on paper like the perfect person. But then, you know, you can see where the attacks would come from the right if it was her. So, you know, that conversation is for another day for me. I'm not. We'll have to lobby hard to get a progressive as VP.
Yeah,
that's what.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your God dang? This is why I don't drink on work nights. My knees are like, I'm like, this thing is strong. I just chugged it in like super quickly. What would you like to leave our audience with? Give them something to inspire them and keep them fighting during these primaries.
Okay, look at all the polling that's out there. We all know it's fabricated and manipulated. Like even the Daily Kos, you know, it's all over 65. You look at the demographics of who is following the site now. It's old white men over 65. So even in all these shitty polls that are constructed to be anti-Bernie, he's second to Biden in most of them. And Biden is going downhill. And the thing that people don't realize about Bernie, who are not Bernie supporters, like part of their impression of him is colored by this narrative that is sold on MSNBC in these places that Bernie support is diminishing. Like they've been selling this message for 6 months now, really hard, that he's not really, you know, is he running? Is he sex? You know, all this nonsense. But the second he announces and gets back in and is given any kind of a forum, all that changes. So, you know, his numbers will be a lot higher than are portrayed. And in California, for example, like I said, we vote early on Super Tuesday this time. None of these candidates will be out of the race by Super Tuesday. So you will have 20 centrists running. and that 20 centrist vote is going to get split deeper than any progressive vote can possibly be split between Tulsi, you know, whoever else gets in that you could consider progressive. Bernie's going to win it. You know, it's just a matter of protecting the integrity of the elections. And, you know, I mean, we can't give up, but we can't stop fighting. But I'm confident he's going to win California, and that changes everything this time around.
It would absolutely change everything. Absolutely, hands down. Thank you so much for joining me so quickly. Everybody watch Bernard, please, on his State of the Union. Let's give him numbers and tell all the centrists and neolibs to fuck off, and that we want to watch who is fighting for us. That's who we want to watch. And we don't watch MSNBC anyway, so shout out to all the independent media who, you know, does stuff actually online and doesn't hesitate to critique both parties. So definitely watch Bernie. He's coming on any minute now. So thanks again, Peter.
Thanks for having me. One thing I would add, when Bernie announces, I mean, I'm not one to say throw all your money at a candidate, but you know, if you have some money and you're going to donate to Bernie, do it when he announces so we can put his numbers up high.
$27.
Yeah, $27, $1, whatever you got.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Pat. Love you. Everybody
Cheers,
have a great night.
A common sense proposal to end the crisis on the southern border. It includes humanitarian assistance